o'clock. We're going to go ahead and start the meeting. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, do you want to go ahead and do roll call?
Andy
Here.
Beth Wood,
Here.
Chad Van Nine,
Here.
Corbin April, and Alfio Seta.
Here.
All right, we need to approve the minutes from October 9th. Has everybody looked at those?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. October 9th minutes are approved. We don't have Corbin here, so we're going to have to table the May 21st meeting minutes. Okay, we don't have any old business, right? Okay. So we're ready to move on to new business. We're going to go ahead and open the hearing for the DuBroux use variance. Would those individuals please come forward? And we're going to go ahead and open the public meeting on this matter, so go ahead.
You would click that button to the mic. This one? It's a big one.
There's
Yeah,
Corbin.
okay. Thank you. You have Corbin's package. Are you calling?
Thank you.
We gotta get it together.
How you doing, buddy? Doing all right? Again.
Okay, go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you have going on.
Well, thank you for your time this evening. We're here to share the reasoning behind wanting to build a small barn dominium on our property for my mom. She sold her childhood home and has been retired since I lost my dad 8 years ago. So retirement looks a little different for her now. She is currently living with my brother, and the plan is to build on our property to be close to us so we can take care of her. We want her to enjoy retirement with her children and grandchildren. We currently live on 4.66 acres and contacted Owen County Health Department, to which they were comfortable with allowing another septic on our property due to our land being very open. Soil testing has been done as well. This build will not negatively affect the surrounding neighbors and hopefully will potentially increase value around us. There is not a residence directly across from us to the left or right, so hopefully this will not disrupt any of our neighbors. We are praying this can happen so we can accomplish the dream we've been talking about for years.
Anything else? Does anyone here have any comments on this petition? Are there any public comments?
I don't have
Well, I heard that comment.
They're good neighbors, that's all.
Well, we like those comments too.
Yeah, we'll take good and bad comments, yeah.
All right.
For me, just like going over some of this, there's kind of a twofold here because they're less than 5 in agricultural, but also the proposed structure they want to build is going to be closer than 75 feet from the road.
Okay.
So you kind of have a combo need.
So
here.
you really need two variances to get the,
Essentially
essentially
we
done.
need 2 votes or 2
Gotcha.
acknowledgements.
You couldn't do one with both, and then you'd have to make 2 separate motions, is what you're saying. Okay.
Okay, well, if nobody has any more comments, I will go ahead and close the public portion of this hearing. Okay, and then I need to read this into the record before we talk about it. A Board of Zoning Appeals shall approve or deny variances from the standards of the zoning ordinance. The board may impose reasonable conditions as part of the board's approval. A variance may be approved only upon a determination in writing that the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner, and the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. Public notice in accordance with IC 5312 and IC 5314 shall be published at least 10 days prior to the meeting, and that was done, correct? At least 10 days prior to the hearing, the planning director shall notify all interested parties of the public hearing by certified mail. That was done, okay. At least 10 days prior to the hearing, the planning director shall post and maintain a sign on the subject property notifying those passing the property that a request for variance approval for the property has been made. The staff, if any, may appear before the board at the hearing and present evidence in support of or in opposition to the granting of a variance or the determination of any other matter. Other persons may appear and present relevant evidence. A person may not communicate with any member of the board before the hearing with the intent to influence the member's action on a matter pending before the board, and nobody's had any contact, correct? Not less than 5 days before the hearing, the staff may file with the board a written statement setting forth any facts or opinions relating to the matter. The board shall conduct a public hearing on the application for variance approval. Following the hearing, the board shall take action on the application. The board may approve. The board shall make written findings of fact in support of its decision. Okay, so does anybody here have any comments? Anybody on the board?
I have a question. You did talk to the sanitarian, John Reeves. And
Yes.
Did he make a site visit? I mean, he's pretty familiar with all the property in the county.
When I talked to him on the phone, he had looked it up online, so we've talked to him several times, and
Okay.
my husband's talked to him as well.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, yeah, he was really nice.
Yeah, he is.
Do you know the volume of the septic system that's in the existing house? Or,
The size of the tank,
yeah, or how many bedrooms in the house?
it's a 2-bedroom,
Two bedrooms.
so I believe it's at least 1,000 gallon.
Right.
For the house that we're going to build, John Reeves said we was able to go as small as 750. But the tank I'm having made is, it's a, I believe it's a 1,100 gallon from Cash Concrete.
Anybody else?
I'm reading one of the 15 emails we got an hour ago. Has anybody else had a chance to read them?
Yes, I
Did it
did.
pertain to this?
Yeah, there was one that pertained to this
Oh,
one
yes,
here,
yes, yes.
about the subdivision and all that
Right,
stuff. And
Design development variance is also needed, different application and reason to build 2 homes on a parcel. The design development standard for AGR is 1 house, 5 acres or more. Use variance would have been correct if the property was zoned residential and the property couldn't be split. And the fact that it's agriculture and we're trying to put 2 properties on there, should it not be rezoned to residential before it's split? I mean, I didn't write the ordinances.
I think it's a twofold, really. I mean, it's, you're double whamming everybody for if you do the rezone, and then you gotta get your permits and file for the variance. In the past, did they allow something like this? I think they did. I think they did, and that's the way I'm gonna read it. Doesn't make it right, but that's what I'm thinking.
Right. I definitely don't want to cost them any more money than
Yeah.
necessary. I mean, I'd like to, but at the same time, I think we should be trying to make sure we're doing it by the book.
Exactly.
right. But is the property where you're putting this other house, are you actually selling property to your mother-in-law, or are you just keeping the property in your name, you're just adding the home?
Yeah,
Right,
just adding, yeah.
and that to me would be, if you were gonna be splitting the property up, then you would need to, but in this situation, you know, it's a barn that they're gonna have living space in for a relative, so I don't,
Yeah.
that's where I feel like
Just keep it simple.
if we did the variance, it would meet the requirements here in this situation. Now, if it was, I'm trying to make some extra money and sell 2 acres off of my property to support, because I can't, then that's a different situation, but it's a family. So, yeah, that's just how I look at it.
And essentially, it's a pole barn. I mean, it's a living space, but it's
Right.
another pole barn on the property. It's not like they're building a
Mhm.
new home or dragging a modular in there or anything, so.
Yeah.
I guess towards the question of simplicity also, is there a particular reason why it has to be where you have it drawn here? Is there not a way to at least comply
That's
with the
just,
distance from the road?
It's just the flattest part of the property, really. We pretty much live on a hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
our
most of
entire
Owen
property
County.
is, Yeah.
Yeah. I saw it on
Yeah.
the contour map, so they're just putting into words, so
Yeah.
there's no, this is the site that you all have designated as most viable.
Yeah.
Right.
The current septic system you guys have, where is that located at from your current home?
That is, it would be to the west.
Okay. Gotcha. I saw the picture there. So that's why there's no way to tie them together. It'd be a
Right.
separate deal.
And
Okay.
he had said there's too many people in our home to,
Yep.
you know,
Understand.
That's
So-
not gonna cut it.
yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I don't have any other questions or anything.
I don't either. All right, I will make a motion that which one are we gonna
Yeah, which
satisfy first?
which we want to do first? Yeah.
To put the second home on the property, that's my motion.
I'll second that motion.
We're gonna vote first.
Yeah, we'll vote first. All those in favor? It's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain.
All right.
So 4 and 1 abstaining.
And I will make a motion to approve the variance within to be less than 75 feet. What are we going to say? No. What's the distance right now on the current home that's being built? What's it going to be whenever it's built? The distance from the road.
Yeah, 60 to 80 goes
Okay.
there.
So we'll say 60. And I'll make a motion that no closer than 60 feet to the road will approve the use of the building of the home.
I'll second that.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
And I'll abstain again.
4-1.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you guys for coming in today.
Thank you.
Okay, and that will close this hearing on that part. Okay. And now we will open the hearing on Blue Triton Brands. So whoever's representing that, please come forward.
We have a few different people to stand, is that easier?
Well,
Or
each person that's speaking needs to state their name for the, so if you- I guess
Yeah.
figure out who your speakers are gonna be, and that'll be the main thing, so.
Okay, I can, you want to start?
Certainly.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name's Mark Burrow. Yes.
Yeah,
One
sure.
second, we gotta bring some more chairs up. No problem.
Here, Mark, I can start real quick, so. I just didn't know if we all wanted to get up here first, that's what I wasn't sure of. Oops. Good evening, thank you for your time, and I'm sure a lot of time and energy in researching stuff. So, my name is Arlene Anderson Vincent. I'm the Natural Resource Manager with Blue Triton Brands, which is a subsidiary of Primo Waters. I have been with the company for 15 years, and my region is the Great Lakes region, which includes Indiana. We have a factory that's located in Greenwood. It has about 90 associates, Indiana residents. Then that's been open since 2008. And then I'll let Mark introduce himself.
Good evening again. I'm Mark Burrow. I'm the QA leader for the factory. I've been with the company for almost 18 years now, all at the same Greenwood, Indiana facility. a resident right in the area. So from that, the factory itself is a 3-line facility. We make half-liter bottles. And primarily we make Pure Life. If you're familiar with that, about a third of our production would be the Ice Mountain brand. So we do, a lot less of that than the actual Pure Life brand. It's municipal bid, so.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
You're very welcome.
So the Ice Mountain Natural Spring Water is what kind of brings us here to Owen County. And that is a Midwest Great Lakes spring water brand. So Primo brand has regional spring water brands around the country, but Ice Mountain is the Midwest brand. We met HGI and the site that we refer to as Fontus back in 2018 when they had applied at that time and had received approval for conditional use in 2018. We've been working with them, since then at the site for the property that's located on Pottersville Road. We've been purchasing water from them though for only over a year. So I think they had received approval, and then they'll talk about their process of, when they got the site, got approval, the steps that they took to get to where they started selling water, and we've been purchasing water. On average, it's about 3 to 5 trucks a day, Monday through Friday. And that water goes to Greenwood facility. Earlier this year, HDI approached us about purchasing the site. And then, again, they could answer questions better as to why they decided to sell it. But it makes a natural choice for us. We have no other operations in Indiana except the facility in Greenwood. It's 2 parcels totaling about 46 acres. There's 1 well on the site, a pipeline, and then a load station that the trucks get the water loaded into the trucks. Get the water loaded into at the load station. There's also a series of environmental monitoring wells on the property. Monitoring wells are small diameter. They're not used to withdraw water, but they're used to measure groundwater levels, and that helps to ensure the sustainable use of the site. We have come to an agreement with HGI on a purchase agreement with the intent and goal to close before the end of 2025. So this was, in review of permits and things, it seemed appropriate to just apply for a new variance use permit through Owen County. And so that's why we submitted the application. We do greatly respect HGI, the work in selection, development, and use and operations of the site that they've done there. And like I said, we've been working together for a very long time. We've done our own independent scientific studies there as well. My background is a natural resource manager. I'm a geologist. Our company employs a team of us across the country. So they've done a great job on the scientific. Of course, I'm I said earlier, a science nerd. And truly respect that. And that is why it makes sense for us to pursue potentially purchasing the site. We look forward to investing in Owen County and the business community here. We do continue to use the site just as they have, using local vendors. There'd be no change to the site. We're not asking for any changes except a name change. That would be the only change. I think that's really it if you guys want to talk about the site.
Sure. My name's Ty Hubbard. I'm one of the current owners of the site. And as Arlene stated, this is about the continuation and retitling of the property. It's a mile south of here. We all know, hopefully we all know where that is. That is a name change. The operation has been going on with our support, and we're simply stepping aside to let the operations continue with the same people, except for us. So it's an ownership change. That's the one thing I want to get across to everyone. Before I prepared a few things, and before I start with those, we have a binder of supporting documents that we provided to the board members. These are documents that people would have might have a hard time finding, but they've all been filed. And I'll probably point to those documents as I'm talking.
Go.
The purpose and background of what we're doing here, as I've already said and as Arlene's already said, is to request an entity name change, but again, the operations don't change. And we're lucky to actually have Blue Triton as a partner for the time that we have worked with them. Like any relationship, a working relationship starts with trust. You gotta build that trust as you work with someone. I'm not going to, I'm not gonna continue to work with someone that is either dishonest or blowing smoke when I talk to them. I can trust Arlene, and you don't hire the company, you hire the people that you work with. I don't work with people because of their company name. I work with them because I've built up trust with them. So that's where we're at right now. And then when we were first here in 2017, the conditional use application was approved with the resolution and the findings unanimously. And since that time, we started getting the work out there. I'm also a geologist and a hydrogeologist. If anyone has questions about geology or hydrogeology, always feel free to get my number today. You can ask me anything about it. I'm going to give you my answer, which is based on science, not my personal opinion. I designed the well. I installed the well using the Mumal brothers, who have put in a lot of wells around here. Some of you might even have a well from them. Following that, we started the registration and commenced with the facility construction activities. So getting into those and pursuant to our approved conditional use, the following permits and registrations and approvals were completed. These are, again, in a binder. Not everybody has those, but I'm just going to name them. Okay, starting with our BZA approvals, those conditional use application was in 2016. The BZA resolution was in 2017, along with the conditional use findings, which basically present to us what we can and can't do out there. During the permitting and construction process, before operations, after building a well, you've got to have a registered water well, whether that's a commercial well or a personal well, residential well. The DNR I've actually checked their website. They don't update their records as best they can, or they don't have the resources to update them. So even though they've had my water well log, which was submitted by the Newmont brothers in 2017, it still is not on their GIS website. That's important to understand, because some people will say, well, it's not there. Well, it's not, you don't see it on the internet, it's not there, right? So it is there. It has a well number. If you want to call the DNR, I know the people to talk to, but I also have a well number. If anyone wants that well number, I can give it to you. After that, we went with
Could you give us that number?
Sure. It's in the number section 2 of your
Okay.
binder.
Okay.
Number 4.
Tab number 4.
Tab
number
4.
And I'll just go through those. Yeah, I guess I should have said that I don't have the binder in front of me,
There it is.
but I guess these numbers mean something.
Yes, they
Okay.
correspond to the tabs
I
on
got
that.
you.
Yeah.
All right. Then number 5 for permitting is the Indiana Department of Health approved bulk water source. After that, number 6, the item Rule 5 general permit. That's if anyone's done commercial property and affected more than 1 acre, you have to do a notice of intent and get a general Rule 5 permit. We went through that process. That's 6, 7, and 8. Once we started building the structures, which I would say, by the way, are much smaller than we started with in our initial thoughts of the size of the building. They got much smaller. So we've got about 1,000 square feet out there, and over 2 buildings combined, isn't it? So we've got a high house and a low house. If you like shooting skeet, you know what that is. The high house is really small, and that's where our well is. It's at the top of the hill. The bottom house is the loading station. That's where we have a single drive. You wrap around it. Has anyone, have you all seen it from the road? If you haven't,
I have not, no.
If you haven't, you probably just missed it, because it's just another gravel driveway. And it goes right along a guy by the name of John Dunning's field.
Mhm.
So if you know his field, it's at that slight 30-degree turn, kind of looks like that.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And that,
Do you want to pass it around?
yeah, you just hold them together that way, left to right. And that's what you wouldn't see from that picture, looking from the road. If that truck was parked in front of the building, you probably wouldn't see that truck, which I find a little shocking every time I pull up in there. Property size, just for scale, it's a pretty big, it's a beautiful property. That's it for, just for viewing purposes, the boundaries of it. All right, we started building those two small buildings, and we have all the records, all of the approvals, all the permits in place in that binder. Again, these things are hard to find, and once we compiled them, it was kind of amazing that, number one, we still have those things, but number two, that we went through this very, whatever that, in order, right? You can't do one thing without first doing something else. And the Owen County building permits, 9, 10, all the way to 11 on your binder is the facility approval through the Department of Health, recognizing it as spring water, and the Department of Health certificate of registration, registering it as a public consumption, I believe is what that means. One thing that probably goes unnoticed, except for, is it Heather? So there was you're Heather? I've talked to you on the phone.
Yes.
But I always want to call you Jenny, from Jenny Osborne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was your predecessor, yeah. Nice to meet you. We submit monthly water reports of the extraction. That's not something you can fake. That's not something that you have to worry about because you have totalizers. You can't run them backwards. And anyone can verify how much water is taken out. Those are reported to her on a monthly basis. And that is, after that, we have the exemption for the Indiana DNR significant water withdrawal facility. I'm going to get back to significant water withdrawal. Let me go back to my notes here. Actually, I'm going right back to significant water withdrawal. How about that? That led into this. I didn't make that. I want to address some misconceptions because if it was me, I would have very similar questions. And just for the record, I come from a county that doesn't have a BZA, and it's not a good thing. I like the BZA. I like having an opinion of what my neighbor's doing because I've got neighbors that have no consideration, and I can't tell you how hard that is when there's no one to call, not even a noise ordinance. You could sit there and shoot guns till 2 in the morning, and the police can't do anything about it. And it's shocking. And it's also shocking when you go over there and tell them stop for them, but that's another story. Okay, addressing misconceptions. What is the Indiana DNR significant water withdrawal facility? That is a facility that can extract 100,000 gallons of water in a day. That's the definition. The DNR sets that rule. That is considered a significant withdrawal. Hydrogeology does not meet that designation. Number one, it can't. It can't withdraw that much. There's 2 reasons. Number one, the pump can't do it. The well can't do it. It's not sized to do that much water. What it is sized for is the amount of water that we are approved to take from the ground. And they actually told me on the phone that I'm a non-significant, and I'm going to tell you now, it's hard to hear that on the phone from a government agency when they tell you you're not significant, and in fact, you're a small capacity facility. So I can show you that, but anyone can read a a government-provided form that designates something, and you can read it 3 different ways. With that grayness, I guess you would say, or interpretation, difference of interpretation, I've actually called them, and I've emailed them recently to remind me, how's the best way that you guys would define us? So I have that email. I don't think it's made the binder, because it was recently that they responded to me. If anyone wants to talk about that, I'm gonna set that there, and they can read it, or they can ask me to read it. Next one, what is too much water to extract? Well, 100,000 gallons sounds like a lot. 50,000 gallons is our limit. That sounds about half as much. But based on the assessment of geology and hydrogeology, and more importantly, the 2 years of operational data, our extraction limit remains 50,000 gallons per day, which, by the way, is enough. There's no reason to have more than that. It's an amount that we think is sustainable, and to go over that would be taking our investment and our time and throwing it in the trash. Because you wouldn't want to overpump your well. I don't care if it's a residential well or commercial well. I don't care what you're doing. To overdo that is a bad idea. There is fear that that could happen when you hear about a big company coming to town. They're just gonna take our resources. They can't. Thank you to the BZA, they can't. Thank you to geology, they can't. It can't be done. So I want to make that as a very clear point. And there's other geologic reasoning behind why this well, in the location that it's at, doesn't touch certain, doesn't share the water in certain other areas of town. For instance, your drinking water wells along the river can remove 4 million gallons of water easily. How much time that would take? It would be shorter than you'd expect. 4 million gallons sounds like a lot to me. Now, what matters in a pumping scenario is the radius of influence. We don't have enough water in the formation that I'm in to remove water that would influence anything outside the boundary of our property. We're lucky to have a property that's that big. This is not something that would be suited for a small property right next to someone's house. And that's not what we have. So that's a misconception, and I think it's important to point that out. Now, Arlene brought up our observation wells. That's how we can monitor this. We all know we had a drought not too long ago. The drought, it was last year, I think. Everything goes down in that respect. And guess what? You still don't want to pump your well too much, because that's a bad idea. Things happen to a well when the water is removed too much. So again, the pumping was reduced during those times. It has to be done that way. Again, because the geology says so, not because you want it to be different. It's the environment is causing that to happen. We have never seen a significant reduction in the flow of our springs discharging. We don't have spring water if the spring goes dry. It doesn't go dry. It can't go dry. We can't pump water to make it go dry. That limits, again, is self-defeating. It stops us from being able to do what we're doing.
Read to you
Yeah.
a text message I just got,
Sure.
sitting here. This is a neighbor of mine, I live on Pea Ridge Road. She just.
Time out real quick here. Are we allowed to take, we can't take public comment
Not
yet,
yet.
so you have to wait until they're done with their
All right.
appeal. You'll get your chance to read the message, but we have to follow procedure here, so, yeah.
Well,
Just getting ready to.
I'm glad you got a text from your neighbor, because I also have a neighbor. His name's John Dunning, and I wish he was here because I saved this comment for him. He's a hard man to please. He's also an excellent neighbor. We bought this property from a local person. He is here tonight. His name is Rick Smeltzer. We appreciate Rick. He still to this day does all the groundskeeping out there. Thank you, Rick. We have a strong track record of taking care of this property. And I think it's important to note that in comparison to other commercial and agricultural activities, there's a big difference with our activity, and that is you don't see us, you don't hear us, and you don't smell us. And our operations are very small in comparison to even a comparable commercial activity. I think we can be categorized by our closest neighbor as a good neighbor, and Blue Triton will do the same. And that's my honest opinion of it. With that, I don't have anything else to say about it.
Any more comments from you guys? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open it for public comment.
All right. Yep. So now
Now
you
go
can
ahead and read your text.
read your message and state your name first before you read too.
My name is Chuck Parrish. I live on Key Ridge Road.
Chuck Parrish, okay.
This is a neighbor that lives probably a mile from my house, and my well is probably, as the crow flies, a mile from yours. And she just evidently heard I was coming here. Says, have you been having trouble with your water? My outside hydrant water is cloudy and gray looking. They're hauling water on Pottersville. Think it will make our wells go dry? And that's a common, if it's a misconception, it's a common misconception. I was here on the original meeting when you guys first came here, and the way I understood it, you was gonna take enough water to do hydraulic testing of sinkholes.
That was our job at the time.
They speak, I think, and we're not supposed to respond directly, or are we?
That is correct.
That is
So
correct.
technically, they should be addressing comments to the board.
Yeah.
And the board can respond.
They need to speak, and then we can respond.
Okay, I'll address it to the board. That's what was said
Right.
at the last meeting. Donnie Minnick was a commissioner, and you guys all know what happened to Donnie Minnick. He was crooked as the day was long. And as far as hydraulic testing of sinkholes, now it's developed to 50,000 or 100,000 gallons a day, or 50, and going to be selling to this company. And then is it next year? Is it going to be another company with bigger taste, bigger needs? You know, I'm sure our aquifer out there can only sustain so much.
I am not a geologist. I'll just go out and say that's here, you know. So yeah. So
I'm not either.
But from my understanding, you know, there is regulations. I am with the Owen County Soil and Water Department, and there is regulatory in the IDEM and other places like that that are responsible for making sure that it is not being overdrawn from that standpoint. So I understand your concern, and I think, you know, we just got to make sure that all the permitting and everything is following suit, because ultimately the state is responsible for making sure that it's not outside of their parameters.
Who would make things right should our wells start going dry?
Again, I believe that'd be up to the State Department of Natural Resources, as far as I know. But again, I do not know who the exact authority would be on that. But I do know there is systems in place for companies such as this that require them to meet the parameters.
Any
Other comment? Yeah.
I'm Tom Parrish. I also was in the original meeting in 2017. Is it possible for you guys to pull the meeting notes from that initial meeting way back? Because the conditional use agreement was based upon, as he said, you know, he likes to do business with honest people who speak honestly and tell the truth. It was specifically asked by me, which I believe to you, if you planned on selling water. You said no.
Bottling water was the minutes, but go ahead.
And I asked if you were ever going to sell water, and they said no. It was only going to be used for hydrology testing of sinkholes,
Okay.
as my father stated. So if you can go back to the meeting notes on this original thing, you will find exactly what I'm saying is true? And the conditional use agreement was for Rick Smeltzer to sell to these gentlemen was that they would get the conditional use agreement so they could do their well. And obviously, since she said that they were talking clear back in 2016 that they were going to buy water from them, and they were only going to do hydrology testing when they were in the original meeting in 2017. I think if you look at the meeting notes, that the conditional use agreement was based upon fraudulent information given to the commissioners at the time. And that's really all I've got to say.
Thank you.
I just want honesty as well.
Yeah, thank you. And that was a question I had written down as far as, whenever she mentioned that, she said that you guys were working together since 18 or 17, whatever that was, and then you did, but you, 18, but
when we met.
yeah, but you've only been purchasing since 23 or 24.
Just, yeah, for
Right,
over a year.
so that was my question. What were you guys doing at the site from 18 until 24 is what my question was.
Well, I've got a good answer for that. So, I did not know her when we bought the site.
Right.
2018 was after the fact. The testing we did out there was for clean water, and the business that we had, the business model we had, was to do dye trace testing, which was the injection of clean water. And you have to have a clean water source. When we do a dye trace injection, you're anywhere from 2,000 to 6,000 gallons at a time, and you can't use city water to inject into karst formation. That I-69 project had dried up, no pun intended. We've got a hell of an investment in this.
Right.
Business models change, clients change. We're lucky to have found a client that wanted our water because we didn't have a process that could utilize it to the degree that we were investing, if that makes sense. So it wasn't a preconceived notion, it was a now what decision. And it seems to have worked out because we were able to turn it into something that was useful and still around the same parameters that we initially thought was enough. That 50,000 gallon number wasn't, like, that's a really important number. That number was based on what we think that well could do, not based on what we thought we could sell. Because, of course, when you have a business, you want to do as much business as you can. That's how we make money. That's how everyone makes money. And when conditions change, such as, selling, our need to sell to Blue Triton now, I have to sell to Blue Triton. I have other responsibilities in life that are not working out. I need my investment back. This is not a preconceived thing. This is just life working out. That's the best I can answer.
Yep, you have a comment?
Yeah, my name's John Tucker, and I live directly next door. Seems odd that you put in a well capable of pulling 50,000 gallons a day when you just wanted to get 1 or 2 loads a month, as you had said in the original meeting. It seems very odd to me that you weren't planning to pull that much water out and put a well in that big. I mean, if you were, you could have had a tanker truck sit out there and let it sit out there for 2 or 3 days and fill up if that's all you were doing.
Well, the well was designed to pull water quickly because you can't sit out there for 2 days when you have a proposal in place with the cost of doing that. No, it doesn't work that way. You need water.
Wait a minute. We're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
But
We're responding to them.
yeah. But I've also considered putting in a well. I've got 5 rentals out there in the shop and stuff, and water prices are going up, and there's a water main leak on my property. It's been there for a year and a half. I seriously thought about putting a well in, but I'm seriously afraid to. And man, it looks like there's at least 10 trucks a day coming out of there. I'm assuming they got to be close to 6,000 gallons apiece. There's times when there's 2 of them together, one waiting for another. There's times when I go out there in the morning and before daylight, which is getting dark early, you can see the water tracks going down the road where the trucks have leaked, and I can hear them over there when I'm at my shop, and it's one right after another, which if worse kind of worse, I mean, I can pay attention one day and document how
Yeah,
many
start
trucks are
counting,
out there.
yeah.
I got
Well,
no
those stated,
problem with that.
it was, you guys stated it was 3 to 4 loads per day is right now is what I believe is
And
what
it
you're
would be
doing.
We actually have
50,000
proof of,
gallons.
we can show what is taken out of there every day.
Which, I mean, that's roughly 18,000 gallon is what you're pulling out of there if you're taking 4,500 gallons in a tanker load, so that's roughly.
They're 6,000,
Okay.
6,000
Yeah, I used to call
gallon tankers.
propane,
Okay.
and I
Yeah.
hauled 7 to 9.
Mhm.
They might even be 65, but I think on average it's about
But
6,000.
6,000, so like 2,400 gallons, 24,000 gallons what you're pulling out per day is roughly.
But
what
it would be
you're
at 50,000 gallons, that's
Mhm.
it, that would be 8
thinking. Once
trucks a
you,
day.
if you wanted to push up to 50, you would stop after that, or, I mean, right now you only got permits for 50 is what it sounds
Correct.
like. Okay.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do more, you'd have to get new permits to do more than that.
That's not the intent, and the well's not designed, or the
Right.
sustainability of the site isn't designed for that, so that's not the intent.
So I
at
can
all.
see, I mean, this sounds like that's a lot of the concern is, supply and water, but it's reasonably so, if you're only set up to pull so much, and then you start, like you mentioned, it's not good for the well to overpull that, so, okay, thank you.
And just for the sake
Yep.
of clarifying some of the concerns from the community and putting things out in the open and getting stuff on the table as it needs to be said,
Mhm.
can we just clarify? We might be stacking the deck a little bit too thick in terms of discussing this. It seems like the permit was granted with a specific use, and now we've gone way far away from that intended use. Regardless of the continual 50,000 gallons, that's a separate issue.
Right.
So you were granted permission to exploit that well, 50,000 gallons a day max, one. Two, there was a specific use attached to that, and that was assumed to be something that was connected with that specific request, which was this issue of testing for sinkholes, et cetera. Right?
That's one of them, and in the meeting minutes, it'll reflect that if we found other sources, we would. It was our new water division at that point. If someone needed their pool field filled, I would fill it with that water. That's in the meeting minutes.
Again, but that's not what we're doing now.
Right.
We've
Right.
already gone away from what the original intent of the permit was.
Commercial water operations was one of the phrases in the BZA, the prior BZA application.
Right, but just to clarify again, the folks that sat here a minute ago said, we want to build a barn dominium for our mother-in-law. If we then find out a year from now too that that barn dominium has become something else, they're misusing the permit that was given to them as per that variance, right? So do we agree there?
Can I respond to that? The process of obtaining building permits, it was very clear, trucks were coming in. Those building permits were based on the existing variance, and at that time, the building department said, this is what you need to do this activity.
It was the person that they bought the property from. Rick Snow.
You've got to let him finish. He's
And so, and that was, what else can you do other than ask the building department, the planning department, what do we need to do this thing? Circumstances do change. You can't, if you look at this index, it takes a very, very, very long time to get state level permits. Do we need federal permits? Do we need local permits? It takes a very long time, and the intent, you can't say, before something happens, you don't have customers, you don't have any, there are many possibilities. Do you build a facility for one very specific thing, or do you say maybe other things could be done?
Absolutely.
And the original application said commercial water operations, and I think that encompasses.
But it also needs to go back to how the motion was made at that meeting and what it was stated. Even though the application was for commercial operation, what was actually voted and approved on is what I need to see here to see how it was stated.
And that, I think that's, for hydrogeology, the next steps in the process were going to the planning department and saying, what do we need to do this thing? Detailed site plans, trucks coming. The limitation was in place, and those permits were issued. A lot of money was spent, and it took many steps at the state level, at the local level, and.
Is this at the very beginning?
Real quick here, you can't address. We can't address that. Yeah.
That's.
For
in response to kind of what you're saying, that,
Those of us who are here who've made phone calls to state entities to get some background on this and find out, we understand that it takes a long time to do
yeah, it
anything.
takes a very long time, and, you know, that's the response to your question.
Right. I just wanted to put that into, like, clarify the terms that we're really talking about two separate things.
Right.
Just to be clear, and I think you guys can understand that I'm with you on the change of use, but the original variance was for activity X, now we're on to activity Y, which is very different. That's all I'm saying.
And when you say, is the original use light manufacturing and distribution, is that your definition, or?
This is the meeting minutes and this is the motion. This is what the commissioners signed off on, okay? This is the regulations that they were to meet. So if you look at what they produced to us, if they're following that,
Because the motion I saw was light manufacturing is what it stated, so that's very broad, you know, to me, when you state, whenever you make a motion that broad, a lot can
And that's
encompass
the
it.
category that was in the zoning code.
Mhm.
That's,
You can't,
Right.
you have to pick one.
Right.
They, you know, were seeking the counsel of the planners at the time, like probably the BZA.
Richard Lorenz.
Yeah, and
Do you have, I believe, ma'am, you had a question.
I just didn't understand if that was.
Can you, real quick, state your name first?
Jill, that's it. I just didn't understand if that was from the initial application, like in 2017 that you were talking about, or if you had to come back to get a variance. I didn't understand.
So I don't see a record of any additional variances made. I think the original variance of 17 was all that was done.
Okay.
And then from there, again, it was, what I'm reading here is it was approved in 17 as light manufacturing. The motion was approved. So again, whenever we have to go back and say, well, what qualifies as light manufacturing? That would be, does selling water to a bottling company qualify? And I don't know. I would assume it
When we
does.
did our building permit, they said, you have what you need.
Mhm.
You know, there wasn't fraud at that time. Nothing happened until the building permit was requested. So it's not, there's no
Right.
fraud. This is,
There's
no.
also,
this is
no,
just,
I would not categorize it as a big change. You're putting water in a truck. That
the
is the
use
same
is no,
thing.
there's no
That's the
change.
use.
Okay, but let's just, again, back
Yeah.
to metaphorical truck, a minute up, and just clarify that. In a lot of ways, the previous variance has nothing to do with what you folks are doing. I'm just clarifying because we're asking for a variance for a totally different thing. It's a new operation, new owner, nothing to do with what was approved
Right.
before.
But would the category still be light manufacturing and distribution under,
I mean, that seems suitable for what you're asking for now.
okay. And I think that's what was approved before. That's in the.
That is what we show in the minutes. Is the last approval in 17 was light manufacturing.
Light manufacturing, so
Mhm.
in terms of.
But again, you did the right thing, because once you change the owner's names, that variance is null and void, because new owners have to apply for a new variance. And we have to decide whether that's a good title to keep in, or make it more restrictive or less restrictive, however we want to do it.
I think something that would be useful,
Yep.
if I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
If I'm overstepping.
Yep.
Something that would be useful for particularly those members of the community with concerns is, you guys are asking for a variance in presenting what is basically a purely extractive operation. You're taking a resource that is owned by the community essentially, right? And transporting elsewhere. Can you tell us what kind of investment you're planning for Owen County? How is this gonna help our county and our community?
Well, I mean, we have a long history. I'm from a small town in Michigan. There's 300 people that live there. I mean, so we support the community. There's taxes. There's jobs with local vendors. We're very generous, and it would be through Greenwood, which is a little bit of a ways from here, but like through water donations, first responders, emergency situations, and we also are, we do a lot of donations to conservation districts, kind of the partners that have environmentally focused type programs. So that's kind of our commitment to the community.
It's a simple operation, but where we can, we hire local people for mowing, cleaning, sanitation, any need we have at the site, drivers, if they're local, it makes more sense.
Initial construction.
So
When we visit the site frequently as owners, and we spend money in town.
So a question I have, you guys, hydrogeology is your guys' business?
Yes.
So outside of this site, do you have other sites as well that you are, so this is your only location? So what's your plan, once this is sold? Is this hydrogeology no longer exist? You're just dismantling that incorporation?
We'll continue to help manage the site for a seamless transition and using the same people, same drivers.
Yeah, our discussion, right now, we use, the hauling company is out of Lytton, Indiana.
Aqua
So-
Logistics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Aqua Logistics. So they're doing the hauling from the site. We own the tankers. They don't own the tankers, they only own the trucks. But that's an Indiana-based company. And then our intent and our discussion with them as part of the sale and transition would be to subcontract with HGI to continue to manage it.
Gotcha.
There's weekly sampling, there's people there, weekly at minimum, so.
In your opening comments, you mentioned investing in our community. So other than these small, relatively small hires of 1 or 2 people to do X, Y, or Z, there's nothing else you can bring forward. And the reason I'm asking is, if we just do the math real quick on what we're looking at here, 50,000 gallons per day is roughly equivalent to what 160 plus houses would use, like your average house would use. So we're taking all that water, putting it in a truck, and it's going elsewhere. Can you tell us anything else that would help this community?
I would classify that 50,000 gallons a day as what the spring is daylighting to the cows. And then it sinks in before the cows are actually drinking it. But that's actually that's the best way to categorize that. Because the drinking water comes from these wells. That water is not connected to this water. That's hydrogeological fact.
Yeah. I saw your hand first. You always
Yeah,
comment.
I still have he keeps alluding to he had building permits established for what they're doing. Just to be perfectly clear, if you look at all those, they purchased this property from Rick Smeltzer. Rick Smeltzer was the building inspector and issuer of the building permits. Conflict of interest, I would think. And also, statement is, he's talking about daylighting the water. Then why did you need to dig a well?
That's
Yeah. We'll ask that.
Pulling from the aquifer, not surface water.
Yeah. Yep.
2 different things.
Yeah, we'll ask that question in a minute here. So real quick, so a couple more comments. Sir, I think your hand was next. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your name?
My name is Tom Hudson, and I live up there on Pottersville Road. And the comment was made that we get our water from the river. Well, ours does not come from the river. We're on a well up here on top the hill. So I'm sure we're drawing from the aquifer. And one thing I have noticed in the last couple of years, is we moved here in 2000, is that right? We've been here almost 5 years. But before that building went up on Pottersville Road, there's a stream that goes right through the farm there that's connected to the property. That thing would run nonstop, whether it's a drought or rain. And I've noticed in the last 2 years, when it's dry, that little stream dries up. So I always thought that was fed from the spring. So they are lowering the water table.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you're anytime you pull water, you're going to lower the water table, but just a matter of how much, and that's where the state is managing that, and they look at those permits and says, look, this is the max. That's why they set these parameters, and this is how much you can pull, because they know it is a hazard if you pull too much with that. But I don't know. So again, that's where.
Another person asked, what do we do if it does run our wells dry? Then, the county can't afford to bring us city water out here if it comes from the river. But somebody needs to be, because the big company is making money off our resource that should last us a long time. If we're not letting it go out of the county, and let the people use their own natural resource.
Money for our resources.
Yeah, and we're not getting any of it from it.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, ma'am, you have another comment?
So, in my perfect world, there would be some kind of guardrail or flag or something, so when, like in 2017, when you guys came in to do this purchase and it was a natural resource, so that there's some automatic flag that goes up, so that prompts an inspection or a survey or whatever from an independent party such as Indiana Geological and Water Survey or whatever. I would like it to be independent, so it's not your cousin Jim.
Your in-house people doing that, I
Right,
understand,
right.
yeah, they'll have a vested interest in that.
Correct.
Yep.
And so when you are issued this and told, fill this out, but also understand you're gonna pay X dollars for this from this company, it's just part of the process. See you later, alligator. I would really like to see that happen. I think it's very proactive, and I think it's very responsible, and I think it holds people more accountable. Because one thing that I did notice is that the variant, that the variance did, it went from geological, or hydrogeological, survey to shipping water. And who caught it?
Nobody.
I mean, and it is a natural resource, and I like this, I think that hydrogeology is a good company, I think they're responsible. I've looked at the water that they haul, they've never exceeded 50,000. So I do respect that for them as a company. They have stayed within compliance, so I do appreciate that. Because it is a natural resource, it's really, water is a hot commodity. But now we've got a $6 billion new guy in town, and, do they care about me? What are we getting out of this?
Yeah.
How is this benefiting Owen County? I wish I paid your property taxes, man. They're a lot lower than mine. Sorry, but it's true.
$300, yeah.
Any other comments, ma'am?
No.
Okay, in the back there, I saw your hand there, yes.
My name's Candy Bixler, and on the Ice Mountain bottles, it says Pontius Springs. So that's the one on Freeman Road, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, yes,
What
yeah.
is the Rolling Hill Spring from Spencer? Is that a different
That's on
property?
Rocky Hill Road.
Is it on Rocky Hill Road?
So
then you
completely
have-
separate.
That's up on Keeler Road, right?
Yeah, Keeler Road.
And that's the same company,
No,
It's the same.
no,
Blue Triton?
no.
Because that's what it says on the bottle.
That's what it says on the bottle.
That's who bottles the water.
That's his
Sorry.
option.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm not for sure how they're tied together, with
It
those.
said it's sourced from these areas, from these two
Right.
springs.
Mhm.
So is that not where we're getting the water from, two different places in Owen County? That's what the bottle says. I'm just wondering what this.
So my question for you, ma'am,
Oh my
Blue
gosh,
Triton,
thank you.
yes. Do you have, outside of this spring, where else are you pulling
Yes.
water from?
So our approach is we have multiple diverse sources so that we're not over-reliant on any one particular source. It's the right way to manage natural resources. So all of those sources doesn't mean that we use them all, but we all went through the process to permit all of those sources. So that's how, if you look at a lot of different bottled waters that are bigger brands, I'll say, they'll have that diversity in multiple sources. So we use very little volume from Rolling Hills, maybe a few trucks a month. It's only, they have other customers that they sell to. Fronteuse is really one of our primary, and then there is one that's over in Bloomfield.
Bloomfield, yes.
And that's one of our also primaries. There's also a site in Ohio. And we do that, so if there's a problem, if we did see trends in environmental data that was saying, hey, you need to dial this back, it's good to have all those different sources on the bottle. I don't know, can I talk to people directly, or am I, I'll just answer.
You can answer her, but address the board as you're answering her.
Yeah, so and I appreciate the question and opportunity to talk about that. All our sources are like that. We build a lot of redundancy into our sources. So, does that answer that question?
I guess my question is, but is your process the same as far as monitoring and testing is the same regardless of where it's coming from? Or
So those are all third-party sites. We don't own any of them in Indiana.
Okay.
Except potentially
If you buy this one, this would be the first one you
So
buy.
yeah, that we do our own due diligence, our own independent science. I know it's not a third party, and I do appreciate also the comment on the third party independent. That is very important to people, and I welcome. I think there's been some social conversations, and there's somebody with the Indiana Geologic Survey that I would welcome that opportunity. I'm a big supporter of education, and so I'd love to have conversations with them. And I think it's important to other people too. Water is extremely important. I mean, we all know that, right? We all understand that. So, I digress. I apologize. There was a question about this.
Question.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, no, that's right.
I'm
Okay.
babbling now, but yeah. So,
There's a hand in the back.
Yeah,
Did we see
I saw
right
that.
here?
Yes, yeah, several things, and I'll probably ramble too, so you're in good company.
Can I get your name first, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, Cindy Kerwin. And we talked about local vendors, but I've not heard anybody reference from Owen County. We talked Glenville, we talked Clinton, we talked Greenwood. Are there any currently employed local vendors from this county at the current facility? One. Secondly, if we're talking about 3 to 5 trucks on our roads, 365 days, 275 days, the vehicles are probably not registered in this county. I doubt that any of the residents who are owners live in this county. With the property tax being paid on this property currently at $271.80, you all are costing us money, literally.
Absolutely.
Literally costing money. And I have not heard anything, two main points, is I have not heard anyone say, we have done our due diligence, this will not harm anyone in your community. And I've not heard, what was the other thing? See, I am rambling. But no, it's very important. I've not heard anyone say, what we're doing will not hurt your community. We have ensured that the resources will be there indefinitely, forever and forever. What I hear is people sitting at a table looking to make money at my neighbor's expense.
Amen.
Literally.
Thank
And
you.
I'm sorry,
No,
that's very
thank you
factual.
for your comment. So I can ask the question. So the first question was, you stated there was.
Local vendors,
Local vendors,
and
yeah.
then any residents, are we getting any property tax besides $271.80
So I can
from
answer,
this business?
I can answer that question, you're no. Other than the property tax, there's no other revenue coming for the county from that. But I will say, you guys did mention, you hire Rick Smeltzer to be like the property manager. So is anyone else in the county being employed today?
The truckers are not from the county.
You know,
I don't believe so.
And you guys are located in
the cleaning services, I don't know if you consider Ellettsville your community, but she lives in Ellettsville.
But you guys are located in Bloomington is where your
Yes.
residence is. Okay, gotcha.
During the construction, everything, the closer it is, the better.
Because that's what I was just thinking, well, if you guys lived here in the county, you'd be paying income tax to the county, but since you're out of county, so all that income is going to your county's jurisdictions. Okay, that's fair.
And I can't recall every single contractor that worked on that construction, but some of them were from Owen County,
Yeah.
local.
But it is important for the new owners to hear that is an issue. If we were going to hypothetically approve something, that'd be something that we would want to have, in there.
And to my knowledge, we don't have power over what we pay in property tax. We pay what we're billed.
Correct, yeah, the county sets those, and it's based off of your zone, so currently your zone agricultural, so that would be a discussion that we would have to have. Right.
And I would also add that the business type is not one that requires a lot of manning. So during construction, we certainly had our lead excavator who lived down the road. Our stone, when they make enough stone at the local quarry over here, I don't know if they're still making stone, but,
And one other comment, I think,
the one up on 231 Monroe,
That's close.
That's Putnam.
what was it called? Anyway,
I know what you're talking
during
about.
construction, there is certainly a lot of people working. But if you think about what's done out there, is you hit a button. You fill the truck, you drive off. That's all that's left.
Right. I don't think neighbors want a big operation with a bunch of, incompatible things going on. Again, you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't hear it. There's not a ton of activity. It's not like we're flying people in from elsewhere. There's just not a lot of.
I'm gonna add a little bit though. So there's cleaning, there's pest control, there's snow removal, there's lawn care. There's
local
weekly
snow
sampling,
guys.
so there's somebody at the site every weekly that has to go to a local lab. So there's shipping that's usually shipped, locally. There's postage, so there is, and then there's environmental consultants that we hire that are third party. We didn't rely just on HGI and their science. We put in some monitoring wells out there ourselves to the comment about, impacting or negatively. We've studied this since 2018. That's a large investment. So those people stay locally, they eat locally, when they were down here, the scientists, and they'll continue. I still will have somebody third party, even though, the idea right now, the conversation is HDI can collect data and send it. We have transducers in the monitoring wells. Those transducers are collecting data like hourly, and they can download that and then they can send it. So we're can see what's going on, water levels. it's not quite real time, but it's continuous data collection. And that's to ensure that you're not over pumping or lowering the water table or negatively impacting the surrounding ecosystems and aquifers.
I'd like to add to that too, that from a geologic perspective, numerous wells in the area are not connected to that well. It's a geologic fact. Your wells are in limestone. The water pulled from there doesn't affect the limestone. You're not gonna take my word for it, but it's,
Right.
this is how it works.
But whenever the DNR did their original inspection, they should be able to pull that information.
And can I add that people have asked, what do we do? The DNR has a very robust, this is one of the main things they do. They regulate groundwater in the state of Indiana. There's a website, a DNR website that has 80 questions. What happens if my well is impacted by a neighbor? Call this number. We have not had any complaints. So no one has come to us and said things are changing, our well is acting funny. We've been doing this since the very end of August last year. Nobody's come to us. We've had the highway department that said 0 complaints. So if we had one, I think we would respond to that and we would investigate it again. I rely on the science, and I'm not a geologist or hydrogeologist, but my partners are, and they do care about these things. There is concern for the community, for the neighbors. We live one county away. This property happens to be in Owen County.
Why not Monroe?
It doesn't have a.
Yeah,
They won't let them, that's why.
No, and let me answer, can I answer one other question that I think was maybe an incorrect assertion? Is this a appropriate
You can,
time?
yeah, you can.
So if you look in your binder, so you apply for a building permit, clearly the site plan showed what we intended to do. Build it, and then the inspectors come, wasn't Rick Smeltzer. The certificate of occupancy is kind of the end of that whole process to say, you've checked all these boxes. You've got your zoning, you've got this, you've got this, you've got this. That inspector, I'm looking at it right now, I don't think that is Rick Smeltzer.
So page 10 is what, so on your guys' binder, okay, like at the 11.
So that person.
Yeah. So number 10 in the second page.
He's an independent person, I think he's his own person.
Sold you the property.
What's the guy's name, Danny?
Gary Du Bois.
Gary Du Bois.
Gary, I don't know Gary.
No, Rick Smeltzer.
I'm Rick Smeltzer.
Yeah, well,
And Rick Smeltzer's here to talk.
Yeah, I bought the property off my parents and then sold it to hydrology. And I've been maintaining the property since then. And I was also a building inspector on the one building, and they went to great lengths to soil barriers, very, very little erosion. And so they went to great lengths to building that, correctly, will affect the environment. I also want to state that we're in a drought. We're about 6 or 7 inches below our rainfall now. And next spring, I just checked it about 3 weeks ago. I had to cross it to maintain the property. That's still flowing very nicely. So
I've never seen it not flow, but
I have this summer.
neither here or there. Last summer, it was a drought and it was still flowing.
in the back, I saw your hand first there, ma'am, so.
Candy Bixler?
Yeah, you're good. You said it first time, you have to say it again. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So all the water that you're pouring out of there, is that not going to affect my springs or my lake at my house because they're pulling it out?
Where is your?
That's why I'd be curious. So where's your property
Yeah,
at
where's your property?
in relation to where?
Less than an
I'm
eighth of a
on-
mile.
Can you pull the map back up there, Heather? Let's see.
So
So Candy Bixler should be.
I'm right on Freeman.
It's obvious the citizens of Owen County don't want this.
That
And,
is fine for that.
it seems to me that it makes sense that the citizens of Owen County not wanting our resources plundered for cash should be valued versus people who do not live here, do not invest here,
612
and only take.
Yeah, I see your property here now. She got it pulled up.
So we have wells surrounding our pumping well that monitor that. The radius of influence is not reduced to water at her elevation where her house is. I know, if you're the one right due south of the south property line,
It'd be east, directly east of where you guys are at is where they,
Yeah, I think east, not south, sorry.
yeah.
east. Okay.
So this, this little house, this little building on top here is, that's where the
Can I look?
well is, I'm guessing. Yeah, if you want to come up here, you can look at that. So this little building here, that's where the pump house is at?
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah, this is all Freeman Road, here's Freeman, this is your pump house.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, so her place is just east here, that's where the property we're talking
Okay, so
about.
the groundwater in this direction, goes towards the river.
Which would be to the north.
Well, no, it goes to the direction the river flows. It's gonna go this way.
Okay, to the west.
Southwest.
Mhm.
And, we're downgrading it of her. So you cannot, that well, unless it was, I don't know, 50 wells lined up, pumping 1 million gallons a day, to reduce the water table is an endless layer until it's not endless. We don't have any evidence of reducing the water table. A radius of influence is just a cone, it goes like this. And then it levels out if you shut off your pump. It goes, every time you turn your water on, it goes like this, and then it goes back up.
Where does it come from?
It comes from the ground.
Around it.
Yeah,
Flows
that's the
into-
radius of influence. It's super small compared to if someone lives a mile away upgrading. It doesn't work that way. But that's, again, that's me saying it
Can I
doesn't mean
ask
anything.
you a question?
Yeah.
I see that the well depth on the one that you're pulling is 105 feet. So your testing wells, are they the same depth
Yeah.
then?
Yeah.
And can you tell me what the average well depth is in that area?
The average well depth?
Of
Uh-huh.
of your
Like,
testing
so
wells
Do
or
the
everything.
neighbors have a well or like?
Well, it
if
depends.
she's-
So I know for a fact that you live a mile south. That's Jill. She lives a mile south. The formation that we're in is actually, and it sounds stupid and made up, but it's an ancient sand dune. That's what it is. And it's on a bluff that was then covered. It acts as a filter for upgrading of water that flows through there. Actually slows down that water. Most of the wells are around here are in limestone. That's not affecting limestone. Furthermore, if you went west towards Dunning, the sand eclipses, pinches out, turns to clay. You'd have to drill below the clay, off of the hill, into the field, below the clay, into the sand and gravel, the alluvial, it's the old stream bed of the river, which is also not the same water. There's a layer of clay beneath our sand that separates it. So that's why I know those things. And the first thing I would do if someone had an issue with their well, especially if it was clouding up, is evaluate their well log first. That's number one. Number two, there's a sand well cannot cloud up a well outside of a significant radius of influence. Which, by the way, when you do say a public water supply determination, you do a 1 mile radius. There's a reason for that. You look for the radius of influence within a 5-year, 10-year run. And what did you say you did from that?
I know I work for the Soil and Water as on the board, so I've been in some meetings. Yeah.
Some of that makes sense. It's a 1 mile radius because that's really hard to affect something 1 mile away, even in the same aquifer, right? Unless you're having a significant withdrawal, like a big factory, or we're talking big time industrial. That is a problem. But here it's replenished. It's replenished as much as it's taken. It's actually replenished more because we're only tracking the one spring our wells connected to. That's the difference between spring water and well water. You can't collect spring water with a cup that's coming out of the ground because you immediately have coliform in it. As soon as water hits air, it has coliform. It's bacteria. You're not allowed to do that. You have to have a well that's in connection with, and the only way to know that is the spring makes a change when you turn the pump on. And then that pump has to be small enough, not large enough, small enough not to reduce that spring to nothing. That's the basis of it being spring water.
Yeah, so that was one of the questions earlier. So you have to show that hydraulic connection to pump the well to impact the spring, but if you over pump the well, you would dry up the spring and therefore you cannot call it spring water. It's,
Right.
the FDA, there's a standard of identity, it's quite comprehensive. You have to show it's not under the influence of surface water. That means you should reverse the hydraulic gradient and start taking water from the surface and sucking it into your well, let's say. So there's all these things you have to do for a standard of identity, not under the influence of surface water. You have to show you're hydraulically connected to a spring. But you also have to show, that's why the science and the design of the well, which Ty touched on earlier, that he designed that well, to meet those definitions, not negatively impact the spring, preserve the spring, and then you submit that to the FDA, and the FDA has to actually approve that as a spring water source to be able to put it on the label.
Well, when I designed it, I actually didn't know it was going to be in connection.
Thank you for that information.
Well, that's my business, like, I don't know what he did, he mentioned design,
I built the
so.
well before I met you, but.
Yeah, that's true.
But that well,
Perfect to spec.
yeah, perfect to spec, more of a coincidence of spec, but, that well, it's a great well, that's all I gotta say. I'm patting myself on the back.
So,
Yes.
I might just come up. I'm Jason Crothy, one of the other owners. I have a couple things to say. if that's
Okay, yeah, come state, you already stated your name, so you're.
Jason Crothy. Directly to your question, the closest well, I've got a cross-section that we did. The closest well down gradient that would be the most likely to have any sort of impact. We draw our water from an elevation of about 575, and this would be Mr. Dunning's well. They draw it from around 500 feet. As far as the spring goes, there's been a couple comments about the spring, that spring being dry. We have thermometers on that spring which measure the water levels there, and those have been very consistent. I have taken bucket measurements. I have pictures showing probably every month or two I'm out there, and it has been very consistent. And that was one of the reasons that was a good location, is that spring isn't influenced very quickly by surface activity. So if you do have a drought, it stays constant. So that's one thing. And then another thing, just to address, is it Mr. Parrish? Just to give you a little bit of background on the original application, neither of us had ever done anything like this before. It's definitely way out of my comfort zone. Very much didn't know what to expect. We relied on the planning department at the time to guide us, and their guidance to us was, you need to talk about the fact that you are hydrogeologists and geologists, and that's already your business, and it's an established business, because they don't want people to come in to try to do something like this that have no background or experience with it. So it really was like, when we were doing it, it wasn't an attempt, there was no attempt to deceive what we're doing. In our cover letter, we said, they told us to talk about the fact that we were a business, and then we also specifically mentioned that we were hoping to expand to a commercial water business. So there was no attempt to hide that. And the other thing I will say about the BZA meeting at the time, it was not run orderly like this is. There was people yelling at us from the audience. It was a very rapid fire contentious. So it wasn't, again, I apologize on behalf of us if it was, just trying to give you a little bit of background on it.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I obviously wasn't here when that happened. But my question for you guys, since you're an owner as well, would be, whenever you purchased the property from Mr. Smeltzer, did you buy it and did get the variances and stuff lined up prior to the purchase, or did you buy it and then say, oh yeah, now we're going to start the water, or did you do it?
Variance before.
So you did the variance prior to the purchase of the property. So once the variance was done is when you bought the property.
Correct.
Okay. So I'm just curious, how did you decide, how did you come across this property as where you wanted to be your focus spot?
Well, we had looked at a lot of different places. There were a lot of different factors in it. We saw it on Craigslist. That's
okay.
That's how we saw it
right.
Initially. But there was a lot of factors. What I just mentioned is that the type of aquifer it is. So it's a combination. Like the upper levels there are dune sand, but there's actually, from what we've seen in our drilling out there, there's an old glacial channel. So there's sand. There's like sand dunes on both sides, and then you have a channel basically. So it's very isolated. to that spring. Another big reason for us was hydrologically speaking, there's not, Mr. Dunning, and I'm not trying to discount him as someone that could be impacted, but downgrade, like when I'm looking at it from a hydrologic standpoint, I'm thinking who could be impacted down gradient and geologically. Right. And there was a very limited number of people that would be possible to impact them from.
And I know he has livestock as well, so he would pull a lot of water, and to my knowledge, I guess, unless someone from the board has heard from John, I've not heard of any complaints from him about being affected by this, because I know he will use a farm. He's going to use a lot of water for his cattle and their own use there too, so, yeah.
He was the loudest one at the first meeting.
Okay. Gotcha.
Absolutely.
So he,
not here.
right, so the first one, he was strongly against it, so.
Yes.
Six, but, go, sorry, you first, yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, along those lines, I would ask, is there any monetary exchange between your company and Mr. Dunning?
Currently,
Currently, yes,
No.
for the draw of water off his property.
it's not coming off his property.
I thought that's one that.
Well, he's saying if they were gonna be affected, if you see, what he said is if the water is gonna be affected, he's the most likely to see an effect from because of the aquifer they're pulling from,
Okay.
right.
Got it.
Today, they don't have any documentation to prove that it's happening, but if it were to happen, that's the only property, based on their evaluation, that is at risk.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Go ahead, yes, ma'am.
I have a question for the board.
Yeah.
My name is Kristen Brands. Have you received information or education or opinion on this project from a geologist or hydrogeologist that does not stand to benefit from your approval, like outside of people?
I have not.
No.
No.
So it seems like since you could potentially approve something that could affect the water table, it seems like no accountability since we have to go to the state if it does. We should consider that.
That's a good comment, thank you. Any other, yes?
I'm not a geologist or anything, I'm an old man, and I've lived out there for 40-some years, and never had any problems with my well at all. 50-some, he says. Anyway, I've never had any problem with my well. My neighbor, his well went dry. The guy past him, his well went dry. This gal that just called a minute ago, she's the next one down. Never seen that in my life.
So you said they went dry, I'm just curious, so here in the past 7 years, or they went dry?
In the past few years.
In the past couple of years, okay, that helps,
Yeah.
thank you.
What direction from the site are those properties?
We would be, if you go out Pottersville, he'd be the first place on the left. You go out another mile and you're on Pea Ridge.
All within a mile.
A mile, let's say.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I don't know how it works.
To Parrish would be, I just pull up their property, Heather, so we can have a understanding of where they're at in relation to where the site is. I do know where Pea Ridge is, but I just want to make sure, because I know with the way the road's turning, it might be closer to that property than what I'm thinking, you know?
Yeah, and actually,
Yeah.
as the crows fly, it is fairly close.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is it Tom?
Charles.
Charles.
And your neighbors, that their wells ran dry, could we, I mean, is it okay to get
Yeah,
their
he had
names?
to have his well re-drilled.
What was his name?
He's dead now.
Oh.
Tim Clark.
Tim Clark.
Tim Clark, and then.
So would the property still be in their name? I'm just trying to figure out where they're in relation.
It'd be in probate still.
Yeah, probably in probate, but the next guy down is Larry Morley, and he's been having trouble with his well.
Okay.
And then the gal that called, that was Luann Fry. She lives probably a mile on down past me, closer to you. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe everything they say is exactly right. Maybe it ain't.
Well, I just know with our karst topography, it is common for wells to have issues of going dry where they were fine this year. And I'm not saying that either way, it could be from this or it could be unrelated, but I know it is common in other parts of the county where wells have gone dry just from the way our topography is, and it's changed and sinkholes and everything else. So where it is possible. So I don't want to say that, well, it's clearly hydrogeology that's doing this, because I mean we can't state that today. So we just got to look and see, the facts.
I've been out there a long time and I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I
understand. I know, but from my perspective on the soil and water department, we get calls all the time, people's wells running dry. Not anywhere close to this property, so I'm just saying there couldn't, I see your concern, but there could be some other factors too.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Just on that note, and not dismissing anything, I just would like to know when, a specific day, like, when did they start noticing it, just so we can, because we've been pulling, pumping water there since September of last year. So if this happened 3 years ago, obviously it would have nothing to do with our operations. So it would just be good to know. I'm not expecting an answer right now.
But you were pumping in 16 or 17, you started pumping for the blasting of the sink wells, right? The sinkholes?
It wasn't as consistent though.
Okay, I got you. That was when you first started, was in 17 we started pumping, but more on a regular basis in the past year.
Yeah, and then, and then as the business, less injections.
Yep.
So, can I also add that the groundwater, our well would have to, be at its bottom to address anything that far away. We have wells around our wells. I'll repeat this. There's no radius of influence exit leaving our property. That can be verified by anyone with eyes that wants to look at the data. Bring in a geologist, whatever you gotta do.
DNR has a number you can call and say, my well has gone dry. Here are the resources to understand what's happening. That's one of the things they do.
Yeah, but somebody has to pay for that.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, just to get back, as far as our purview and what we're evaluating, what we're taking input from the company, we're taking input from the community. I think that obviously the geological issue is way beyond our
knowledge, yeah.
Right, so we can't decide on that. And what we need to get back to is to deciding on what is being asked here, right? So the issue is, they're asking for being able to continue this, to continue taking this water out of the county, right? That's the use in question, so that's what we need to vote on. All the geology stuff is beyond us.
Right, yeah, I agree.
So it's just a matter of evaluating community resources and making a decision
and so
on
what,
this particular use.
correct, and so before we can start that discussion, we need to close the public hearing, so we want to make sure there's no more public comments. Is there any other public?
I was gonna say, how can you actually vote if we don't even know what the 2017 document said? Unless if somebody has a copy and can read it, then I don't think we even know what you're voting to change.
We have copies of that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where it said, in 2017, our records show, the official record is stated with the department, with Heather's department, that states that an approval was given for light manufacturing on this property, a variance. So that's currently the way it is today with the current property owner. So as soon as that ownership changes, that is null and void. So then our decision is then at that point, do we continue to do that? Or do we develop a new variance, or do we just kill it entirely? You know, we have that step to whether that happens or not.
Okay, then that's helpful, so thank you for clarifying
Yeah.
that. I think we're all here for information, so that's helpful.
Yep.
The other thing I would say is if any permits or if the EPA was involved in 2017, that's been 8 years ago. This county has drastically changed in 8 years. The population's changed, the needs for water have changed, as well as other resources. So I think that should be taken highly into consideration.
Thank you. That's a good comment.
That's all. Thank you all for sharing information.
Yes. Any other public comments? Anybody?
All right. I will make one comment. The Dunnings used to have water rights to that spring. And then they were deeded. And then they were deeded back to you gentlemen at, not too long after the purchase of the property. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
It's good to know.
Okay, anybody else have comments? Okay, then I'm going to close the public comment portion of this hearing. And one thing that I'm trying to understand is if this is zoned agricultural, this is not an agricultural use.
That was what I was going to bring up during our BZA comments. So that's to me, you know, when you look at this, again, this is me speaking freely here on the way I look at this, and the way, especially now with new owners coming into town, the current owners, small company, this is a larger corporation. It just happens, you know, that things get bought out and they change with that. But also, like was stated, we have our own county has changed, and our own, how we look at water and how it's managed has changed over the past 8 years. So if we were to move forward with this, my thoughts looking at it, it would be to discuss a rezoning of the property to away from agricultural use, because again, it is, we give a variance for light manufacturing, so to me it needs to be a commercial property.
That's my thought too.
So that's just my
Now, my
opinion.
question though is if they had the variance for light manufacturing, how come they weren't taxed as that?
I'm not a tax assessor, so I don't know on that one. Yeah.
So, I mean, you're talking about
Yeah.
the tax base on them,
Right.
they're just paying what they get billed. I don't know that it's wrong, but,
Right.
you know, that's not
Mhm.
their fault either.
Yep. Yep.
And
There are outbuildings on the property, I mean, the pump stations and all that, right? Two
buildings.
yeah, they're
And
not
that's another
taxed on
thing,
that
there's
either.
nothing, yeah. That and that, again.
Why
it's
wouldn't
not
that, why
their
wouldn't
fault.
that be taxed, by the way?
Should be.
It should be. And I think it will be.
Yeah, we didn't hide anything, you know. our-
Yes. No,
you
nothing you guys did wrong.
Exactly what we
You had your
were intending to
permits,
do.
Yep.
and the permits,
Yep.
that flags the building department, that they've looked at it, and then the assessor will go and assess it. So that's how it gets on the tax rolls.
I mean, of all the hearings I've been in, you guys have done a great job of getting information together and presenting that. So I have no problem with any of the information you presented. But again, like we stated, just in 17, it was a totally different group of people sitting at these tables than there is today. So I said, and even our county itself. So we just have to look at this as a, new owners, and how are we going to look at it in 2025 and address the best thing? Because obviously we want you guys to, you're a business, we want you to make sure you have a business that's able to run, but we also got to make sure it meets the needs of the local folks as well.
Speaking of the compromisation of the board, I mean, two of the members that were on the BZA at the time should never even been on the BZA. Two of them that voted for the original application, one was a county commissioner and one was a county council member. They were not lawfully,
But that's how it was at that point in time.
is that how the state law was though at the
That's
time?
how the county.
I mean,
Our county,
Because
state,
the county attorney walked them through
Right, yeah.
the process. 'Cause if
Either
you
way,
read through your
I'm not saying
documents-
it's their fault that
No,
they were
it's
put on
not, but
there.
it's, like you said, Owen County's changed a lot since then too.
State law didn't change though, so they
Well-
should have never been on there to begin with, which to me means that the application shouldn't even, I think.
but if it's on record, you can't null and void what's already been
No.
there, so it's, I
Not really
said,
happened.
According to
Attorney
case
prepared
law, you
documents.
can, actually.
yeah.
I could show you that too. I could show you the lawsuit that said it nullified because of unlawful action to begin with.
Okay.
So we'd have to, so we'd have to,
Scroll down to item 16, I believe, is I was bringing it up because not necessarily that, keep going, right there. S Rock Cement Corp. versus Clark County Board of Zoning Appeals. BZA doesn't claim there's a statute that authorizes the pre-buck bid for,
recycling permit rather realizing the common law exception when an administrative agency recognizes its own. So yeah, so in this case, the administration, they, at the error.
we, being an administration, recognize an error of the law that was done in 2017, if this is the same situation.
Well, we can't go back. We just have to move forward.
Right, I think with this situation, with a new owner in question here, it would be a start over at a new slate. That basically wipes off any previous permits if the transaction were to go through. You've not purchased the property yet, right? So this is step one. If the approval is given, then you'll, okay.
There's been quite a few steps, but
Right,
yeah.
yes, yeah.
As far as
Yeah.
we understood that this process had to.
Obviously
to
depends on
yeah.
whether, because if you don't get the use of the property, it's not worth anything to you at that point, I understand.
And we relied on the validity of, the building permit
Right.
followed by the certificate of occupancy. We wouldn't have built it if the building permit, we didn't
Right.
deem that a valid permit.
So who's our current county attorney? Who would be our person?
Tony Overholt.
Tony Overhaul, would that be something that we would want him to review the 17 decision, like Chad's saying, to see if it's something that we need to
Yeah.
review, and even if it was lawful in the way originally stated? I mean, that's all I think of, because I'm not an attorney, so I don't know how to.
Yeah, I think he does need to review it.
Yeah, I think so too. And possibly talk to Richard Lorenz and his recent.
Right, and that can help us,
Because he's a very good attorney.
and that information will help us on the decision we'd ended up making for the property, because we can know, okay, was it done correctly the first time? And if it wasn't, then how do we get it right this time, with that?
And he did advise us, just to clear any questions of conflict. We consulted with him as an attorney to say, how should we get through this process? He advised
Consulted with
us.
him when?
Pardon
Now
me?
for this, regarding this
Yes,
sale or
yes.
the original?
Regarding this application.
So where I missed it,
this
who
process.
did you refer to?
Richard Lorenz.
Richard Lorenz, okay,
Yes,
gotcha.
yes. And he advised us to pursue this process for a conditional use application in the name of Blue Triton as the applicant. So what
So
we're here for.
you're part of the group, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can speak, because technically the public part's
Just-
done, but you're part of the group.
And also in 2017, Jenny Osborne in planning worked extensively with him on this one because it was an unusual situation. It wasn't, and so he was part of that process in 2017 as well. And just to say, when we're looking at the previous thing, as an applicant you come to the BZA, you file your application, like how do you, like, what can people do other than that? If you're talking about someone was not appointed correctly, like that's not,
Right.
like we would have no control over that.
Yeah, you guys did nothing wrong.
We went to
Right.
him because people
Yeah.
said, he understands this process,
Yeah.
who you talk to,
Exactly.
he said, here's what you should do, and, it should be a pretty easy process, so.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at this point, other than tabling it, I don't know what else we would consider as a
I
board.
think it needs to be tabled.
Yeah, I have typed something up I'd like to read.
Yep.
It says, "This board has received numerous emails this week, including today, and we have also just received remonstrance regarding this matter. Considering the current owners are granted a variance in 2017 for water extraction with limitations, and given the complexity of the request for a conditional use variance, we do not have sufficient time to gather all the facts and make an informed decision. Therefore, I move to table this item until next scheduled meeting to allow adequate time for review and consideration."
I'll second that.
Motion.
I would like to make a visit out there.
Yeah.
At the board.
I would too.
And then I think that we should consult with some geologists, since you're soil and water.
Yep,
maybe
I can get
you
some
this up.
contacts and we can get that done.
And
We're
we will,
open, we've encouraged anyone to come visit, and I know
well,
that's the right of
the thing is we have to make it public knowledge that we are making that visit.
Right.
Okay.
And
Bob?
it says, yeah, I think.
I just know originally you stated that your goal was to make this before the end of the year. I don't see that happening. This is going to push that back. So just, well, we're going to do our due diligence, and property owners here, we want to make sure that they said that things are done correctly. So I said, we're going to take our time with this.
And I know you guys have been posting on Facebook. When we get an actual date, I will post it on the page where you guys have been posting.
We'll post
We got the
it
only
on the
government, the county
website,
government,
too.
yeah. page.
But I'll also post it on their Facebook page so that they'll see it. I've read your comments.
Yeah, we've read them all.
Thank you all.
Letters in the mail again, or no?
Not for us to do the site visit, no.
But well, that was a good question though, Heather. So like whenever we table this to the next meeting, will they get sent a new letter for the next hearing, or is it just, I don't know how that works.
If you read through your emails, there was a comment made that all the landowners were not notified. It's supposed to be anybody that adjoins, and that's it, correct?
663 feet from the parcel.
And
So there is potential that this list
but
does not.
that doesn't say that in
Our rules, if our rules don't say that, then that's just a verbal understanding. So
yeah, our
if
rules
we-
don't say it, because I looked.
Yeah, then we've just got adjoining.
Yeah, so of the 45 acres, every adjoining property owner has to be notified with that.
And we have done that.
Mhm.
Other than there was one, but then I
Across
provided
the
you.
road on Freeman Road.
And I got you guys an email there with a communication from that property owner. They were
I saw
aware.
it.
And they were notified by the newspaper notice as well.
Yes.
So anyway, we had a motion from Beth and second by Chad, so.
Okay, so we have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor of tabling this matter till next month's hearing?
All right.
Aye.
Unanimous. Is that?
Thanks for your time.
Oh, wait, do you guys want to know when the next hearing is?
You guys, if you're able to find a geologist or hydrogeologist, make sure they reach out to us so we can give them all the information that we have
We
on it.
want them to get their own information.
That would take more than a month, but they can verify the documentation.
We're in no hurry.
And Heather, go ahead and contact the company, set up the site visit, and then we'll post the information.
Right, once we
so
get all agree on a
everybody knows
date, we'll
Yeah.
try to get out there and visit the site. We'll do that.
what it is. Did everybody hear that? Heather's gonna work with the company to get a site visit set up, and then we will notify you guys when the site visit is.
Okay.
But we don't come to the site visit, right? It's just your-
No, they said that you guys can come anytime you'd like, that we would like to one-on-one, I think.
Did you say the next hearing is?
We're working on that right now.
So we have a question here
I
real
have
quick.
one question. You said something about a rezone. Is that,
Today, nothing has changed, but I said if we decide, like I say, hypothetically saying, we decide that we're going to allow you to continue operations as you are right there, we would have to discuss as a board if we want to send it to the planning commission for a rezone, if that were to happen.
so a conditional use is as that process that was used before is not?
It could be. That's where the attorney has to check on that, make sure, but if we decide that we want to use conditional use, we can, but we have the authority as board, if we want to send it to planning commission, we could for a rezone, if needed. Go ahead.
Is there any way that you can pull up the original meeting notes and go over the verbiage from these gentlemen on why they wanted to?
There's minutes.
Ask them.
Yeah.
Does it have why they said they wanted to have the conditional?
I have not
use?
read those, so I can't answer that, yeah.
Because I know the question was asked whether they were going to sell water, and the answer was no. Hoping you had that verbiage.
We'll review that prior to
Yeah,
making any
we'll
decisions,
look at it
yeah.
and see. I see where
Appreciate
you
it.
made your comments
Yeah.
on here,
Yeah.
and how it was explained to you how things replenish. But yeah, we'd have to, because we just got this today.
Thursday would be December 11th, right?
Or, yeah, sorry.
I
I even have it on there and read the one next to it. Okay, so our next hearing is December the 11th at 7.
I just have one last question. So if it is rezoned for the zone to match what they're actually doing on the property, would that help bring more revenue to the county?
Yes.
Yes.
A commercial zone would
Well,
bring in different than what a
The ability to
Probably
impose
should have been that
conditions, right?
Mhm.
If it's rezoned, would you have the ability to impose any conditions?
That would be up to the planning commission, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that goes to the planning commission.
Yeah, we just do
Yeah, I believe-
appeals.
Thank you.
I know they can put conditions on it, pending approval. I mean, there's conditions they can put on to approve it, like I've seen in the past where they ordered other companies to fix a culvert or a road because they were bringing a lot of trucks in and out. I've seen that before, like the quarry up there on 231 that they were talking about a couple of years back. So yeah, I mean, they can still put conditions on there even if it is rezoned.
How long is the typical rezoning process?
A couple of months on average.
Or when we need to do the May minutes.
What?
May minutes.
May minutes? Oh, yes. I motion to approve the minutes for May.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah. All right.
Motion made and seconded. I think it's just the three of us
Yeah.
that were at that meeting, wasn't it so?
Right. We're good.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
good.
we're good. We're approved.
Yes, sorry about
We're
that.
good, bring them to the meeting.
Yeah.
One other thing you guys might think about, what size trucks are on the roads, what the route is that they go. You know, give us as much information on
Okay.
that, provide that.
Yeah, I know the HGI has met with the transportation. There was a request to like broaden the turn, and they agreed to pay for that. And they've been checking all summer, but they aren't,
Well-
and Jason can speak to that, but they don't have a paver or something. So, but there's, so, and they put the signs up, I think that was, actually, I think it was their request, they wanted, or the drivers said it would be safer. It's a little tight where they turn out there. But,
You guys do, I think, also have an email, should have an email somewhere in the mix of all the emails, that the highway department, they did contact the highway department, and the highway department said that they have not had any issues or complaints in that area either.
Yeah, they
So,
were
I mean, that
talking
was included somewhere along the line.
Yeah, social media beat chat.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you guys for your time and
Yeah,
all,
thank
and all,
you.
and all your information that you brought to us today. So,
Yeah,
thank you.
We did appreciate it.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Any other public comment?
I was gonna say,
I
do we
would
have
say
any
that.
other public comments, because the public's gone? Any
Yeah.
board comments? Other comments?
Other than this, we'll be visiting this next month. What else do we have as far as next month's?
I don't have anything else currently for next month, so
Okay.
it would just be this.
Okay.
There's not, I think we're almost out of time to add anything else, we're
Yeah.
getting close to that, so
Mhm.
I have a feeling it'll just be this.
Okay.
Unless something magically shows up real quick.
I understand. Well, thank you for helping get all this together and everything. So, mhm. All right.
Need a motion to?
Yeah, I need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made, all those in favor?
Aye. Sounds good. I haven't formally met you yet, sir. What's your name? Alfio. Alfio, nice to meet you. I'm Corbin Averill. We're glad to have you on the board.